Welcome to this explainer on workforce change at the ABC, where we're going to break down exactly what you need to know to really understand what's going on behind the scenes at Australia's national broadcaster.
Okay, so to get this, you have to picture the old way of doing things. A big TV crew, right? Camera operators, sound person, a reporter, the whole shebang. Now contrast that with the new way. One single person, a mobile journalist or mojo, armed with a smartphone. This one shift is at the absolute heart of the ABC's new strategy.
So, why the huge change? Well, because the world has changed. Let's be honest, fewer and fewer of us are tuning in at 7 p.m. sharp for the news. We want content on our terms, on demand. For the ABC, this isn't just some small tweak, it's a massive strategic pivot they have to make to survive and stay relevant.
A huge piece of this puzzle is about location. The ABC has set this ambitious goal, get 75% of its content makers out of the big city headquarters in Ultimo. The idea is to embed them in the communities they're actually reporting on, to tell stories that feel more real, more authentic, and reflect all of Australia.
And this isn't just a plan on a whiteboard. It is happening right now. We're talking about 300 staff from some of the most important teams packing up and moving to a brand new hub in Parramatta, Western Sydney. It's a bold, disruptive move, and as you can imagine, it's causing some waves. Now, here's where we get to the core of it. It's really easy to just say staff are unhappy about the move. But to truly understand the situation, you need to dig deeper and use the right language, the specific industrial terminology that explains what the friction is really about. All right, let's put on our analyst hats and decode what's actually going on here. We're going to look at the specific industrial relations issues that have popped up because of all this change. So, what do we even mean by industrial relations? Well, think of it as the formal and sometimes tense relationship between the employer, in this case, the ABC, and its employees, who are often represented by a union, like the MEAA. It's all about the negotiations, the agreements, and, yeah, the disagreements. And look, while salary is always part of the conversation, the union has been crystal clear on this one. Their media director, Cassie Derrick, said it perfectly. This dispute is about way more than just the size of a paycheck. It's about fairness, respect, and job security. So what are the specific demands? Well, the union wants to fix what they call a broken buyout system that leaves junior journalists stuck without clear career paths. They're demanding a transparent audit to close pay gaps based on gender or cultural background. And looking ahead, they're worried about AI and want real protections to make sure automation doesn't just replace people's jobs.
In that big move to Parramatta, it's creating a major risk of something called voluntary attrition. That's a technical term for experienced staff simply choosing to quit rather than deal with the disruption. And that's a huge problem, because when those veterans walk out the door, they take decades of priceless institutional knowledge with them.
Okay, but it's not all conflict and friction. All this change is actually creating some really amazing opportunities. And this is where we find what I like to call the dual benefit secret of this whole transformation. Now pay attention, because this is the key to the whole thing. It's so easy to just focus on how new training helps the employee. But the real secret, the sophisticated analysis, comes from explaining how it's also a massive win for the business, for the ABC. You have to explain both sides of the coin. Let's use mobile journalism as the perfect example. For the employee, hey, you're learning new skills that make you super valuable in today's media world. That's a great benefit. But for the ABC, this is a game changer. They can now send one person to cover a breaking story instead of three, which means they're faster, more agile, and they save a ton of money. It's a total win-win. And it's the exact same logic with cloud-based editing. The employee gets the flexibility to work from anywhere, which is fantastic for work-life balance. The ABC, on the other hand, gets to shut down expensive, power-guzzling server rooms. And here's the genius part. They can then lease out that empty space to make money, which helps pay for the entire Parramatta move. It's this incredible self-funding cycle. So let's zoom out and connect all these dots. The move, the new skills, the union disputes, none of this is happening in a vacuum. It's all part of a much bigger and, frankly, a much needed strategy for survival. You have to remember the context here. The ABC was staring down the barrel of a $40 million budget shortfall. That's a massive hole. They had no choice but to find ways to be more efficient. This was about survival, plain and simple. So the Parramatta move wasn't just a strategic choice. It was a brilliant financial play.
By selling off an old property and leasing out huge chunks of their prime city real estate, the ABC basically figured out how to pay for its own future. And they did it without asking for a single extra dollar from the taxpayer. It's a really amazing story of creative thinking.
Which leaves us with the big, lingering question: can a public broadcaster like the ABC pull off this massive digital transformation without alienating its most valuable asset, its people? It's a high-wire act, balancing progress with people. Only time will tell if it works, but one thing is for certain: the ABC is in the middle of reinventing itself, and it's going to be fascinating to watch.